counter force that is gathered against you. And therefore I pray, whatever the conspiracy from the pit of hell against anybody here, against this gathering, against this program, we bring under the subjection of the Holy Spirit in the name of Jesus. The food, the drinks we will take, we sanctify with the blood of Jesus. Nobody will go home sick. We will all go home satisfied, well filled. And I pray through this association, through this program, this association of hematology and blood transfusion scientists, Society of Nigeria, will grow from height to height. I pray this prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And let your amen be a living amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very wonderful prayer by our own Archbishop Sigby. Once again, put your hands together for him. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important we recognize the chairman, Young Medical Laboratory Scientists Forum, Bayelsa State, is ably represented by MLS Joshua Tarelade. Please, can you wave? You're welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to recognize and make welcome Barrister Isete Amietimi. He is the senior legislative aide to Honorable Fred Agbedi. Fred Agbedi is a member representing Sagbama Ekeremo Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State at the National Assembly. You are welcome, sir. I was hoping to see Fred Agbedi in person because I already have the adoption certificates I want to give to him. Yes, been signed already. You're welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important that to some of us that are not yet members of this society, please do well to register and be a member. And it's also important to announce to you our national officers and also regional councillors. You already know we have Professor Z.A. Jeremiah, who is the president. We have Dr. Yetunde Obazi, who is the vice president. We have Professor Muyibi Abidemi, who is the secretary and secretary general. We have our own brother, Kenneth Zifawe, who is the publicity secretary. We have Dr. David Bolaji, who is the assistant general secretary. We have Dr. Stella Ken Ezio, who is the treasurer. We have Dr. Yashin, who is the FCT councillor. And I said earlier, we have Dr. Okwada Stowe, South regional councillor. And we have our Tawakalitu, who is the Southeast regional councillor. We have the Abdul Salam Yakubu, who is the Northeast regional councillor. And Yakubu is also the secretary, the national secretary, I beg your pardon, Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. And we have Comrade Hbtssn, who is the North Central Regional Councillor. Also permits me to recognize and also announce to us, for the purpose of records, the National Organizing Committee, who is headed by Dr. Yetunde Obazi as the chairperson. We have Professor Muyibi as the secretary of the organizing committee, National Organizing Committee. Kenneth Zifawe, the local organizing committee chairman. Dr. David Bolaji, assistant secretary general. We have the treasurer. We have Stowe Oprada. And we also have the local organizing committee headed by Kenneth Zifawe as the chairman. We also have Dr. Kristen Atia, who represents or who acts as the secretary of the LOC. The South Councillor is also there. We have MLS Nsika Etim Esther, who is the welfare, and we have my humble self, Love Zebedi, who is the publicity. We have MLS Lokoja Ebiweni, in charge of accommodation. We have our humble chairman, Sele Anna Celepri, who is the venue to logistics person, and Mark Bugemi is the local organizing member in charge of security. Please put your hands together.
Okay, going on, we are going to take our national anthem and our Izon children. Izon! Izon! Please come forward. It's going to be taken in his own language. We are trying to teach our children how to speak our language. So they are going to be reciting the national anthem in Ijo. Please appreciate them as they come forward. Cheer them up, cheer them up.
We want to take the national anthem. Let's give honor to our country and be on our feet as we take the national anthem.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would like to first of all welcome you to the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Society of Nigeria. Let's be on our feet and stand at attention as we take the national anthem in its own language. Thank you. Seri inebi no tu Nigeria tibina tarimo undumo se aki firi weni wo ibe pre wolo tumo weni frimo pa fa gemi keni some ti mi firi weni wodo gesi yela ibe pre. The pledge. Arigba Nigeria ibe priemi, gesi tibi sinkere bara, ineduse akana, firiweni Nigeria peregomi, arikeni swame yokumo, ma arakromo tokunimo, korini wo mongumi, enene woyengi baratwani pere. Thank you.
Please, can we do better, please? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our young professors. We have doctors there. Thank you very much, and we are still standing. Please, let's take our hematology anthem, please. Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria anthem. 1, 2, go.
Bloodology, bloodology, the mystery of creations. Like drops of blood, we've come to stain from every state in Nigeria. Hematology, blood transfusion science, the mother of all sciences.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful anthem of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much of our time, let's call on the chairman of this occasion to take us through the opening remark. He's no other person than Professor Anthony Emeribe. Put your hands together for him.
Thank you very much. The President of the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria, Professor Jeremiah Zacchaeus, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Otueke, Professor Charles Teddy Adias, the keynote lecturer to this third International Conference of Hbtssn, Professor Josephine AKPOTUZOR, the Archbishop BIENNIAL, who led us in the opening prayers, members of the executive of the Hbtssn, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria was founded and inaugurated only a few years with its first conference in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Hbtssn had ever since then left no stone unturned in making giant strides towards the growth and development of hematology and blood transfusion science in Nigeria and beyond under the pragmatic leadership of Professor Jeremiah Zakis. We are here in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, participating in the epoch-making third Hbtssn Biennial International Conference and Workshop with the theme on global pandemic and blood security, with sub-themes covering various areas of hematology and blood transfusion practice. The COVID-19 pandemic adversely affected the price of hematology and blood transfusion with empty shelves and expired units in most blood banks during the 2020 global shutdown that had deleterious and fatal consequences which some parts of the economy are yet to fully recover from. The attainment of blood transfusion safety in Nigeria and the rest of sub-Saharan Africa remains an uphill task due to a number of factors ranging from shortage of blood, preponderance of non-voluntary stroke replacement blood donation, poor implementation of blood transfusion guidelines, infrastructural deficits, inadequate manpower mix to high prevalence of transfusion transmissible infections, particularly hepatitis and HIV. To ameliorate the gross mismatch between donor blood availability and actual need and request, the National Blood Transfusion Commission is all to partner with health institutions towards recruiting and mobilizing more blood donor organizers and counselors across the country to improve blood bank stocks of voluntary blood units. Blood components, fractionation and use, autologous blood transfusion, and availability of new generations blood substitutes should be encouraged, particularly in our tertiary health institutions. I commend the leadership of Hbtssn for its collaboration with the International Society for Blood Transfusion, ISBT, and the Federal University of Otueke in successfully battling this conference with inbuilt technical skills workshops and travel grants to support upcoming scientists. We look forward to vital resolutions that would aid relevant ministries, departments and agencies of governments and the private sector towards improving hematology diagnostic services and quality donor blood availability for management of needy patients. Thank you very much and you are welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the opening remark by the chairman of this occasion. Once again, put your hands together for him. I was instructed to tweak the program a little. That is why this remark came before every other one. At this point, let's call on the local organizing committee chairman to give us his welcome remarks. Put your hands together as we call on MLS Kenneth Zifawe. Ladies and gentlemen, while we are waiting for MLS Kenneth Zifawe, let's recognize the South-South Regional Councillor in the person of MLS Stowe Opuda, who just walked into the hall. He is a Riversman, a known Riversman, and when you see him, you know he came prepared. You're welcome, sir. Sir Ravos, we are hailing you. You're welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I have also been instructed from the high table to recognize one of the key players in Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria in the person of Dr. Benjamin Elodo. Please, sir, with us. We recognize you.
The chairman of this opening ceremony and chairman, Board of Trustees, Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria, Professor Anthony Emeribe, the Vice Chancellor, Federal University, Otueke, Professor Teddy Charles Adias, the keynote address speaker, President, Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria, and his beautiful wife, distinguished members of the high table, representatives of Senator Fred Agbedi. I wish to continue and adopt the well-established protocol for this event. This is a welcome address presented by my humble self, chairman of the local organizing committee of Hbtssn 2024. Before I start, on behalf of the local organizing committee member that have worked tirelessly in the past few days trying to package this event, I want to welcome everyone here present to the reality of our preparation to make this day real. I also want to salute my colleagues from the western part of the country and the western region of Hbtssn for ceding this hosting right to Bielsa State, even when we knew that originally they were supposed to host this event. To these great scientists, to these great bloodologists from the western part of the country, I salute each and every one of you, and we look forward to when we are going to meet at your region. I want to tell you that the theme of this conference was carefully selected: global pandemics and blood security. It was carefully selected to prepare us and bring us to global readiness while employing biosecurity to avoid unintentional bioterrorism during pandemics. I want to assure you all that this conference will live up to its theme, because here congregated are eminent scholars of global repute who will do justice to the topics, from the keynote speaker, Professor Josephine AKPOTUZOR, to the distinguished scholars that will be presenting even at the scientific session. I want to assure you that as custodian of medical diagnosis, of scientific medical diagnosis, that the outcome of this conference will set or will be a vital resource for blood safety in Nigeria. I want to welcome each and every one of you to Hbtssn 2024. I welcome each and every one of you to the glory of all land, and invite you to take time and explore the traditional hospitality of the Bielsan people and indulge in our rich, diverse cuisines, and enjoy yourself during your stay in Bielsa. Thank you. Noa Aloa Do.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next on our list is no other person than the Vice President, Hbtssn, Dr. Yetunde. Please put your hands together for our Vice President.
Thank you. Before I welcome everyone, I would like to recognize our distinguished guests for today once again. Starting from the chairman of the ceremony, Professor Anthony Emeribe, the chairman of Board of Trustees, Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria. Our special guest in absentia, that is the Registrar, CEO, Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, and also a member of Board of Trustees of Chancellor, Federal Ministry of University Otoke, and member of Board of Trustees, Hbtssn, Professor Teddy Charles Hadias. Our keynote speaker for this graceful occasion, Professor Josephine ONUDINIRU AKPOTUZOR. Our able president, the host, Professor Zacchaeus Awotu Jeremiah, with his wife. Oh, thank you, ma'am. All distinguished guests, time will not permit me to mention everyone. You're welcome once again. And I would like to say good morning to everyone, especially also the members, participants, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. With great joy and a very warm heart, I and members of the National Organizing Committee welcome you to this great biennial international conference. Being the third edition organized by our most cherished society, Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria. Your presence does not only demonstrate enthusiasm for knowledge and zeal for continuous improvement as professionals, but also reveals your love towards the society. In recent times, the world has faced unprecedented challenges due to COVID-19 pandemic and other disasters which have significantly impacted various aspects of healthcare, including blood security and blood transfusion processes. As we navigate through these challenging times, it is essential for us to come together as a community to explore innovative solutions, exchange experiences, and collaborate on strategies to ensure safety and security of blood products and services amidst these challenges. In this forum, erudite scholars and renowned experts in the field of hematology and blood transfusion science are to discuss and dissect the conference and the workshop themes. That is global pandemic and blood security, hemostasis and blood transfusion, the meeting point. Through thought-provoking presentations, interactive workshops, and didactic sessions, we will delve into topics ranging from the impact of the pandemic on blood donation, blood availability and transfusion services, to the role of hematology and blood transfusion scientists in managing pandemic complications and beyond. This will surely advance the field of hematology and blood transfusion practice in the context of current global challenges. I encourage all participants to actively engage in discussions, ask questions, and share insights, as your contributions will enrich the dialogue and contribute to the advancement of knowledge in blood security and the field of hematology. Together, let us harness the collective expertise and wisdom of our global community to address the challenges posed by the pandemic and work towards ensuring a secure and sustainable blood supply for all. This conference promised to be full of excitement, as the traditional hospitality and cuisine of the Ijaw people would also be explored. I would like to express my profound gratitude to all stakeholders, especially the Federal University Otuoke, piloted by Professor Teddy Hadias, the Vice Chancellor, who has generally supported this conference to ensure it is of great success. Thank you very much, sir. The International Society of Blood Transfusion and Six Mercy Corporation is also appreciated. And this speech will be incomplete without thanking the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria President, Professor Zacchaeus Jeremiah. The keynote speaker, Professor Josephine ONUDINIRU AKPOTUZOR, and members of the national and local organizing committees for their efforts and perseverance, which culminated into the successful hosting of this conference. Various professors from different institutions is also highly appreciated for gracing this occasion. And once again, I heartily welcome you all. May this conference be a platform for fruitful discussions, meaningful collaborations, and impactful outcomes. Thank you for participation and commitment to advancing hematology and blood transfusion science in the face of global adversity. Thank you.
Please, can we applaud Dr. Mrs. Yetunde Obase? Thank you very much, ma. A word of welcome will be taken from our Hbtssn president, the person of Professor Zacchaeus Jeremiah. Please, can we be upstanding as we welcome our president once again?
Thank you. Be seated. The chairman of Board of Trustees, my teacher, my mentor, whom I often refer to as the living legend, I want to specially thank you for finding time to be here. I know it's not very easy to get people to travel like that these days. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion. Our special host, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University Otuoke, who is the lead sponsor of this program. If we have, put your hands together for him. Last 2 years, we were in Abuja, and we knew where the next program should be. But he gave a word that he wants to host the society in his state, in this place. And somehow, some people say, oh, it's our turn, we want to host it. And then somebody spoke and said, how many societies in this country has a vice chancellor as a member? So if the vice chancellor that is a member of this society is now making a request that he wants to host the society, then why can't we give him the privilege? So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to honor that request, and he has come out all out to throw his weight to sponsor this program. We are most grateful. If we have two sponsors added to people like him, we will attend the next conference without conference fees. And that is where I'm believing God for. I want to also thank the International Society of Blood Transfusion. It's an international society of which the society is an affiliate. This is the second time they are granting us academic support for our conference. The last time they told us they want to be around, but because of few things that happened, they could not come. And this time, they are supporting us again. We are most grateful. It has given our conferences international touch. And even as we are having the conferences here, they are also monitoring what we are doing because we are going to report. So that is why yesterday I was pleading to us to be very orderly, to comport ourselves well, because this video you are seeing here will get to Netherlands. The keynote speaker is our first female professor in this profession, in this hematology. When I told her she would be the keynote speaker, I said, "Why are you calling me to come and speak now?" I said, "Don't you know that you are the first female professor we have in hematology in this country?" So he said, "I don't know." I said, "No, it's from today." So I said, "We want to give you the privilege as our own first female professor of hematology in this country. I don't know of any other one. If you know, come and tell me later. But for now, as I'm standing, she remains the first." So she accepted to be our guest keynote speaker. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And the representatives of the speaker and other guests that are here, let me finally, others are standing. I will sit on the existing protocols. Abi? So it's not only standing. Thank you so much. Dear Hbtssn members and colleagues, on behalf of the Hbtssn Board of Trustees, Expanded National Executive Council, national officers, and entire membership of the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria, Hbtssn, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you to the 3rd International Conference tagged Hbtssn 2024 here in Yenagoa, the capital city of Bayelsa State, Nigeria. An effective healthcare system cannot be ensured without total blood security for patients, especially in this era of global pandemics, when there is growing need for blood and blood products. In several resolutions, the World Health Assembly has urged the member countries to reinforce the programs of blood security. This informed the choice for the theme of this year's conference, which is Global Pandemics and Blood Security. Our keynote speaker, Professor JOSEPHINE ONUDINIRU AKPOTUZOR, our erudite professor, who also holds the record as the first female professor of hematology and blood transfusion science, will certainly throw more light on this theme during her address. The National Organizing Committee, headed by the Vice President, Dr. Yetunde Obaze, and the Local Organizing Committee, headed by Kenneth Zifawe, has worked extensively hard to make sure that we have a memorable conference. Thank you for all your services. The chair of the scientific committee, Professor Nancy Ibe, and all the members of the committee equally worked so hard and deserve huge commendations. I am sure The abstracts selected for oral presentation, oral and poster presentations, will definitely make the conference sizzle with discoveries and late-breaking findings. One of the major components of this conference is a 2-day workshop on the theme hemostasis and blood transfusion, the meeting point. The Hematology and Blood Transfusion Societies of Nigeria is sincerely grateful to the International Society of Blood Transfusion and SISMEX for graciously sponsoring the workshop sessions of this conference. Through the sponsorship by the ISBT, the Hbtssn has provided travel awards to 2 categories of people: the early career hematology scientists and final year hematology and blood transfusion science trainees. I cannot end this speech without the recognition and thanks to Professor T.C. Adias, the Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Tweke, for the magnanimous, robust, and uncommon sponsorship he offered the society to ensure a successful tenure. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Special thanks and recognitions to our Chairman, Board of Trustees, Professor Anthony O. Emeribe, who, despite his numerous engagements, gave me his word that will be here, and he is physically here to grace this event. When I was writing, I was very sure he would be around, but as I finished writing, I was asking myself, if I'm reading this address and it's not here, what will I do? So I'm very happy that you are here, sir. After all this, I sincerely hope that you will find time to explore the city and its lovely surroundings. Well, now we are not responding. Thank you so much for coming. I want to believe that this is one of the best conferences you will have, and it will get better. Thank you so much. Before I take my seat, I want to take about 5 minutes to decorate the members of the executive and the board of trustees who are here with a sash. Can somebody bring it up for me while I do that quickly and take my seat? Just I want to decorate them with the muffin. Please bring it up. Just a few minutes. I'm not going to waste time. I have a muffler for BOT members and the national officers and the regional councillors, which I want to decorate them with, so that when they walk among us, you can identify them and know who they are. So while they bring it, just a few minutes. Okay, I'm giving signal that it will be done later. So thank you for listening, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a wonderful remark by the President of Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria. Once again, please put your hands together for our President. On our agenda, we have extraordinary dancers of Bayelsa State to entertain us. But while they are getting set to take the stage, please, if they are ready, the stage is yours. But while they are coming down, permit me to recognize some very important person that has contributed so much to the body of education and also to the society. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy, please join me as we recognize and make welcome Chief Dr. Fred Ubiko is here with his wife, Dr. Beauty Fred Ubiko. Please, you have your place here. When it comes, you have your place here. We want to see you in front. Ladies and gentlemen, this hall is filled with teachers of teachers. I also have one of my teachers here. She is no other person than Dr. Eze Evelyn. We recognize you, ma'am. You're welcome. I also have a very senior colleague. While I was in year one in the university, they were the people we look up to live moral life in the university. She is one person, when you see her, you see what Christ is. Please join me as we make welcome Dr. Beatrice Moore. I have been instructed by the president that Dr. Evelyn, she is a very senior person in this society. Please let them occupy the front seats. So also Dr. Beatrice Moore also occupy the front seats. It's your place. Give honor to whom honor is due. As I'm here, I know that nobody in this hall can come and drag this mic with me. This is my department. So please, ma'am, the president said you should occupy the front seat. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to welcome and recognize the presence of Dr. Justina Wene Emmanuel, a very senior person in the hematology and blood transfusion. She is an assistant director, medical laboratory service, hematology department, University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. Also, we have in this hall Ibirari Joy Siaminabo. She is the deputy director in charge hematology and blood transfusion department of blood transfusion department, University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. It is also very important to announce to us that if you check at the rear or behind you, you will see the tables with equipment. Please do well to visit the DC Health stand and appreciate what they have there, and also buy some items for yourself. Hello, I want to remind us that sometimes when I attend conferences like this, I usually go back with big bag, because that is where I have opportunity to buy everything I will be needing as a medical laboratory scientist. So do well to patronize them before you leave this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, if the extraordinary dancers of Bayelsa State, if they are ready, please, you have the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, put your hands together for wonderful dancers. Well, as the official MC of this conference, while they were dancing, I was just asking myself, should I have left MC and perfect my dancing skills? Because I'm feeling like they were paid more better than the way I was paid. But anyway, I will leave that for next time. Ladies and gentlemen, in no particular order, we'll be taking goodwill messages from different persons. But because of time and other engagements, permit me to call to the mic in the person of Barrister Amietimi, who is representing Fred, Honorable Fred Agbedi, the member representing Sagbama Federal Constituency, Bayelsa State in the National Assembly. You're welcome, sir.
My distinguished professors, members of the high table, all protocols duly observed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Isiaye Amietimi. I'm from a Kremlin government area of Bayelsa State. I'm the senior legislative aide to Honorable Fred Agbedi, who is a member representing Sagbama, a Kremlin federal constituency in the House of Reps. He sent his apologies. He was supposed to be here today, but there are some urgent national assignments. He had to leave Abuja yesterday morning, so he sent us to represent him. And on his behalf, I'd like to say a few words very briefly before I leave here. Our office, my principal, Honorable Fred Agbedi, is someone who is friendly with the medical society. November last year, we did a medical outreach in Sagbama Criminal Government area of Bayelsa State. And I'm proud to announce that in that particular program, we had about 1,709 patients treated. We also had about 63 surgeries performed free of charge to our constituents. What we do in our office, if you have a request, you send to us. We look at the requests and verify the projects. I think in the whole of Bayelsa State, I don't think there's anyone who has defeated them yet when it comes to projects, apart from the governor. So I want to thank you for the opportunity of inviting us. We're always at your service, anytime, any day. Reach out to us, and we'll see what we can do together to move the state forward. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
That was a good message from the representative of Honorable Fred Agbedi. Ladies and gentlemen, on the list of her goodwill messages, we also have my own adopted father, who happens to be the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Utueke, who is no other person than the person we already know, Professor T.C. Adrias. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, lovely. Just been told today that you're my adopted son. I accept. And so I will give you my account number to you today so that you can start to play the role of a son. We pray for the father. For all in favor, you say aye. The ayes have it. There was no nay. I want to welcome you to Bayelsa State, the glory of all lands. And today, I'm happy to meet professional colleagues, especially one of the idols we have in this profession, Professor Antonio Meribe. For those of you who have not known, it's good that we tell you about this person. There wouldn't have been the struggles that you have benefited today, if not for some of the exploits of Professor Antonio Meribe, one-time president, one-time registrar, and a teacher of teachers. And I'm sure that if we take the roll calls to ask for those that he has taught to stand up, I'm sure the whole hall will stand, including in the president of our society. We are gathered here today to look at global pandemic and global security. And this is quite topical because of the challenges we've seen with the concept of emergent and re-emergent infections. As we gather here, let us dedicate ourselves to this important cause and see how we can solve problems for society, which is part of our responsibility. As the co-host of this event, I want to welcome you to Bayelsa State. So on behalf of all I represent, the Federal University of Turkey, we welcome you. We pray that we have peace as we continue to make our transactions. Onwao, aloha.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a wonderful goodwill message by our own professor, the VC, Federal University of Utrecht. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, put your hands together for our prof. On the list of our goodwill messages, we also have the National President, Association of Female Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, represented by Dr. Mrs. Teresa Jeremiah. Please, once again, put your hands together for her as she walks to the rostrum to give a goodwill message.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, it's afternoon now. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to specially greet all my fathers, mothers, lecturers who are on the platform. Let me begin by, first of all, recognizing the president of Hematology and Blood Transfusion Science Societies of Nigeria, in the person of Professor Z.A. Jeremiah. I also want to recognize the presence of the Vice Chancellor, FUO Otueke, in the presence of Professor T.C. Adias. I also want to recognize the BOT Chairman, Professor Emeribe. I also want to recognize my mothers, Professor Abakoba, Professor Nancy Ibe, and in fact, the list will go on and on. I also want to recognize the national executives of this great society, the local organizing and the national organizing committees, and all my professional colleagues and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing here on representing my national president in the presence of Princess Oluyomi Newton. This is actually a goodwill message from her. She's supposed to be here to deliver this message, but there was a clash of programs, and so she asked me to stand in for her. I will briefly read the message and pass across her message to us. According to her, I say, on behalf of the Association of Female Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, I extend our sincere appreciation, felicitations to the President and entire members of the Hbtssn on the occasion of your third international conference tagged Global Pandemic and Blood Security. Hosted here in Yenagoa, the capital city of Bayelsa State, the south-south region of our dear country, Nigeria. It is great honor to be invited, recognized, and also included in such highly esteemed events as this. I am particularly excited to have the opportunity to interact with friends, fellow colleagues, other professionals, experts, and stakeholders to share thoughts, knowledge, insights, and also learn from each other's experiences. I encourage us all to make most of this conference. acquire knowledge enough to help us contribute meaningfully to the growth and development of ourselves. And long live Hbtssn, long live AFMLSN, and long live MLSN. Thank you. Signed, Princess Yomi Newton, National President. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again put your hands together for the National President Representative. For those of us who just came in, she is the National Vice President of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. On the list of her goodwill messages before we take the National President Representative, I wish to announce to us that after this, we will go for the tea break, then come back for the keynote address. So it will be orderly. We will take the high table, then every other person will follow. Please, let's be very brief so we can take the keynote address and take the other sections of today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy, please put them together as we invite the National President, ably represented by Bayelsa State Chairman, in the person of MLS Sele Anna Selepri. Please put your hands together for her.
Good afternoon, everyone. The President of the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientist Society of Nigeria, Professor Z. Jeremiah. The Chairman of the occasion, Professor A. Emeribe. And the Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Otueke, Professor T.C. Adias. Well-respected members of the high table, I seek your permission to stand on the already established protocol. My name is Sele Anna Selepri. I'm the Chairman, Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, Bayelsa State Branch. And I'm here representing the National President of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. First, in my capacity as the branch chairman, I want to say that it is indeed a honor that as it is in my tenure as a proud member of this society that this society is being hosted in Bayelsa State in this time. I'm very honored and I'm glad, and it is a very rare privilege. Thank you so much to all that made this happen. The National President sent his goodwill message, and I'll go ahead to read that. Kudos to the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria. I am delighted to congratulate you on the occasion of your 3rd biannual International Scientific Conference, which is being held here in Bayelsa State, the glory of all lands, from the 15th to the 19th of April 2024. This year's theme, the global pandemic and blood security, is incredibly timely given the unprecedented events of past few years. As healthcare professionals, we understand the critical role that hematology and blood transfusion scientists play in securing the health and safety of our community. Your focus on this theme is a pointer to your commitment to promoting and advancing healthcare in Nigeria and beyond. The Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, AMSIN, on whose behalf I write this, is proud to be associated with the Hematology and Blood Transfusion Scientists Society of Nigeria and your ongoing efforts to advance knowledge, research, and innovation in the field of hematology and blood transfusion. We commend you for your dedication to the profession and your commitment to driving innovation and growth in the industry. I will conclude this message by inviting you especially to join hands with the 15th AMC National Executive Officers to make our association great again. We look forward to seeing the society make a meaningful difference in the field of medical laboratory science in Nigeria. I wish you a successful conference and encourage you to continue your excellent work in advancing the practice of hematology and blood transfusion in Nigeria. With great expectation, Dr. Kasmia Ifeanyi, the 15th National President, Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Okay, the ushers have informed me to tell those on the high table that you have your teacups. It's just to get your choice of tea from the stand there to serve yourself comfortably. They understand that everyone have their own choice of what they want to take. We are very sorry for the stress. But then, please, we have a lost but found phone here. If you know this phone is yours, please kindly come for identification. Also, this program is going on live. If you have a colleague, a friend that you wish the person should also benefit from what we are doing here, please kindly visit Google and search Solve TV. Solve TV. Solve is SOLVE TV, and watch this event live. This event is going on live, so you can watch it, and those at home or those that are not currently here can also watch this program live. Thank you. So the tea break will be very fast, and we come back to continue with the keynote address. Thank you. Tell them now, tell them. Ladies and gentlemen, can we continue with the rest of the program today? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, can we continue with the rest of the program today? Those of us having cluster meetings, can we continue with the rest of the program today? The LAC chairman, you are needed. Can we come in to continue with the rest of the program for today? Can we continue with the rest of the program today? Are we set to continue with the rest of the programs for today? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to welcome everybody back from the tea break and to continue with the keynote address. Before we do that, permit me to recognize one of our hosts, who happens to be the acting director of Medical Laboratory Service, FMC Yenegwa. He has played so many important roles to the organizing and hosting of this event. He's another person than Ahmed Sebakumo. Please put your hands together for MLS Ahmed Sebakumo. It's one of the elders of the profession in Bayelsa State. Also, we wish to recognize one of us who has also contributed a lot to the body of MLS in Bayelsa State. Also, a mother in the profession. Your hands are not too busy, please put them together as we recognize MLS. Philemon, as your welcomer. Your welcomer. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to take the keynote address, and we'll plead with the eye table to please kindly come over this side so we can participate actively in these keynotes. We know that this topic was carefully selected, and our own prof, in the person of Professor Josephine AKPOTUZOR, will do justice to the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, to take us through this citation of Professor Josephine AKPOTUZOR is no other person than one of our colleagues, Lucy Okori. Please put your hands together. While she is coming Coming to take this citation, ladies and gentlemen, it is my single honor and privilege to introduce or to call to the rostrum the keynote speaker in the person of Professor Josephine ONUDINIRU AKPOTUZOR. Please put your hands together for her. The citation is on the screen. You can also read along. You're welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to read the citation for Professor Josephine O. AKPOTUZOR, ni Akwiwu. Professor Josephine O. AKPOTUZOR was born on November 26, 1964 in Nigeria, specifically in Delta State, Ndukwa East Local Government Area. AKPOTUZOR Josephine ONUDINIRU is a professor of hematology and blood transfusion science in the Faculty of Medical Laboratory Science, University of Calabar. She's a motivated and creative individual with passion for teaching and research. She holds a PhD from University of Calabar in 2000. That was in 2006. She has been a head of department from 2012 to 2014, Faculty of Postgraduate Representative in the Postgraduate Board 2014 to 2016, and Hematology and Blood Transfusion Science Coordinator from 2016 to 2018. With a background in medical laboratory science, she has developed a strong teaching, research, and communication skills, allowing her to effectively convey information in a clear and concise manner. Her research interests are on infectious diseases like HIV and tuberculosis and cancer, breast cancer to be precise. She has successfully supervised 10 PhDs. She has taught full-time for 16 years and has over 65 publications to her credit in peer review, foreign and local journals. Overall, she is dedicated to her tertiary education. Fellow West African College of Medical Laboratory Science in 2020, PhD, University of Calabar, Nigeria, 2006. Her concentrations were antioxidants, micronutrients, trace elements, and vitamins. Her dissertation was total antioxidant status, vitamins A, C, and beta-carotene levels of children with P. falciparum infection. MSc, University of Calabar, Nigeria, 2000. Concentrations for immunohematology. Her thesis was serum protein changes and immunoglobulin levels in sickle cell anemia patients. BSc, Medical Laboratory Science, Hematology Basis, University of Calabar. Secondary education. West African School Certificates in 1982, Oguta Girls High School, Oguta, Imo State. Primary education. First School Living Certificate, 1977, Fisher Primary School. Teaching stroke working experience. October 2015 till present, Professor of Hematology stroke Blood Transfusion Science, Faculty of Medical Laboratory Science, Department of Hematology and Blood Transfusion Science, University of Calabar. Her courses are Hematology, Blood Transfusion Science, Immunology, Advanced Laboratory Management, and Blood Physiology. October 2012 to 2015, Associate Professor of Hematology and Blood Transfusion Science, Faculty of Medical Laboratory Science, Department of Hematology stroke Blood Transfusion Science, University of Calabar. The courses are Hematology, Blood Transfusion Science, Immunology, and Blood Physiology. 2008, September to 2012, Senior Lecturer, Faculty of Medical Laboratory Science, Department of Hematology, Blood Transfusion Science, University of Calabar. 1995 to 2008, Associate Lecturer, University of Calabar. The courses she taught Hematology and Chemical Pathology. 2004 to 2008, Chief Medical Laboratory Scientist, Hematology Department, University of Calabar Teaching Hospital. (1990 to 2003), Medical Laboratory Scientist with University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, Cross River State. Her function was diagnosis stroke teaching of students on laboratory posting. 1988 to 1990, Laboratory Scientist with General Hospital, Mina, Niger State. Her function was diagnostics. 1987 to 1988, National Youth Service Corps, General Hospital, Mina, Niger State. Her journal publications. Professor Josephine has over 50 publications in reputable journals. Excellence Awards Leadership Award 2012 Institute of Corporate Administration. She has up to over 100 publications for her peer and the reviews she has written, and also a lot of journals. So her achievements and excellence awards are so numerous to count out. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank all of us for trying to come in for this conference that we are holding today. And like the president said a time ago, during the planning, he reached out to me and said, I should do the keynote. I should be the keynote speaker. And I asked, I said, why? And he said, you are the first female professor of hematology in this country. And I said, really? I'm not aware of that. I'm not even counting that. I don't know that there are people that are counting. So what I'm trying to say is that who you are, what you are, everybody knows. But you may not know that you have reached the height. So the president, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be the keynote speaker for the 3rd International Conference of Hbtssn. And the theme, as is presented here, is the global pandemics and blood security. But the presentation I'm going to make, I am titling it as the crimson fountain of life, safeguarding vitality in the face of global pandemics. Now, we live in a world that is often gripped by the relentless clutch of global pandemics and epidemics, where every drop of blood becomes a lifeline, a symbol of hope and resilience. In the face of uncertainty, the security of blood transfusion becomes a paramount commitment for the sake of safeguarding life. The keynote address will take you on a journey through the depths of this pressing issue, exploring the profound impact of global pandemics on safety and reliability of blood transfusion. I want you to brace up for a thought-provoking exploration on the 5-part work that challenges our understanding and compel us to reevaluate the very essence of humanity interactions and our shared responsibility to protect and preserve life. Now, this lecture will be presented in 5 parts. And the first part has to do with definition and context for key themes in the lecture. The second part is about the challenges, problems, and shortcomings that currently exist and impede the establishment of a secure and reliable blood supply during pandemics. The third part is all about the possible challenges for enhancing blood security. And the fourth part is collaborative efforts and global initiative geared towards achieving goals and eliminating existing challenges. And the final one will be the conclusion. Now, you will agree with me that during the pandemic, this is the kind of thing that you see in the hospital, where you don't even have space for more patients to be admitted. So the entire place is filled up with patients. Now, the word Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines a pandemic as an outbreak of a disease that occurs over a wide geographic area, such as multiple countries or continents, and typically affects a significant proportion of the population. Common examples of global pandemics include the influenza flu pandemic, with a peak incidence in 1918 and a death toll between 20 to 50 million. Then we had the cholera pandemic, which peaked in 1910 at a death toll of over 800,000. We have the Black Death, incidents in the 14th century, and a death toll of between 75 to 2,000 million people affected. And most recently, the COVID-19 pandemic that peaked in 2020 and a death toll of about 3 million. The data all collected from the WHO. Now, pandemics are typically associated with very high mortality rates because of the quick spreading and deadly nature. The table in the next slide displays a timeline of various pandemics over centuries, their causative agents and pathogens, and their mode of spread. Now, if you have on the table there, we can have almost all the plagues that we have recorded up to 2019, which was the latest and is still ongoing, because from time to time WHO still announces to tell us what precautions that we need to take so as to prevent the continuous spread. Now, certain diseases may not affect the entire world or multiple continents, but are capable of causing devastating effects with a single country or sub-region. Example being the hemorrhagic fever like Lassa, Ebola, dengue fever, to mention but a few, which are more common and recurrent in Nigeria. These diseases that are limited to a particular population may be referred to as epidemics. That is, they are endemic in that particular region that is affected. It is also important to note that in the vast majority of circumstances, pandemics and epidemics are associated with public health crises, characterized by overcrowded hospitals with increased patient influx, inadequate healthcare personnel to patient ratio, limited resources in terms of medical supplies and equipment, and as a result, healthcare at that time focuses on reducing disease spread while resuscitating diseased patients and reducing the death toll. Blood transfusion, we all know, may be defined as a process of transferring blood or blood components from a person, which is the donor, to another person, which is a recipient. That's a layman of defining it. But then, it typically involves the intravenous administration of blood products, such as red cells, plasma, platelets, clotting factors, for the purpose of compensating blood loss, improving oxygen delivery, or treating certain medical condition. The process broadly involves 4 stages. The first stage there is the donor selection. Now, this involves carefully choosing individual, that's the donor, who are suitable to donate blood based on their blood groups, the type, the health status, and other factors. Various tests and screening are done to assess the donor, the group, the Rh factor, and dictate any infectious disease that could be transmitted through the donated blood. The common screening tests carried out in a significant amount of blood banks and laboratories facilities in Nigeria include the HIV, hepatitis B surface antigen, hepatitis C, and VDRL. Now, the goal of donor selection is to find donors who are healthy and also have compatible blood groups with the patient in order to minimize the risk of complication during the transfusion. Now, the second point there is the blood collection. In this phase, a healthcare professional carefully collects blood from the selected screen donor. This is typically done using sterile technique and equipment to ensure the integrity and safety of collected blood. The blood may then be processed into different components depending on the need of the recipient. Compatibility testing. This involves testing the compatibility of the donor's blood with that of the recipient for the sake of avoiding adverse transfusion reaction like coagulation reaction, hemolytic reaction. The ABO blood group and RH factor are usually the focus of compatibility testing. Transfusion. This is a procedure typically done by skilled healthcare personnel. It involves establishing intravenous access to the recipient and subsequently infusing the properly screened and processed donor blood. The infusion is usually slow, lasting for a duration of between 3 and 4 hours, and it is closely monitored as well for signs of adverse reaction in the patient. Now, during global pandemics, the demand for blood transfusion can escalate due to factors like increased trauma cases, surgeries, multiple organ failures, secondary to systemic complications, such common endpoints of disease that become endemic, or direct fluid or blood depletion, commonly seen in hemorrhagic fever. According to the WHO, blood transfusion play a crucial role in managing severe cases of disease like malaria, sepsis, typhoid fever. They are highly prevalent in our environment and are capable of exacerbating during pandemics. Additionally, during viral outbreaks, there may be severe blood loss in patients as a direct complication of the disease, as seen in Ebola fever outbreak, Lassa fever outbreak, dengue fever outbreak. There may also be an increased incidence of severe respiratory tract infection, as seen in SARS-CoV-2 viral outbreak, necessitating transfusions for patients experiencing complications like acute respiratory distress syndrome. So, it is well established at this point that a common principle in the conservative management of patients in such situation involves blood transfusion. To conclude this introduction part, we will provide contextual background information on blood security, one of the themes of this address that will dominate the conversation. Blood security refers to a comprehensive set of measures implemented to ensure the safety, integrity, and availability of blood and blood products throughout the entire transfusion process. The primary goal of blood security is to minimize the risks associated with transfusion, such as transfusion-transmitted infections and immunological reactions. Blood security involves rigorous donor screening, advanced test methodologies, secure storage protocols, and a well-regulated supply chain. Additionally, it encompasses the monitoring and traceability of blood units, aiming at preventing errors and safeguarding the well-being of both the donor and the recipient. The next slide demonstrates the standard objectives for establishing a network of secured blood. Now, on the first, you can see there is all about the infrastructure. So there is need to improve the management, organization, and technical capability of the transfusion service. The second objective is, as it refers to the blood collection, there's an increase. There should be an increase in collection from voluntary, non-remunerated donors from the risk population and improve donor counseling, voluntary and non-numerated donors. We have the blood testing and production components. There is need to improve for safety by improving blood testing processes of samples and cold chain management. Then we need to have the quality assurance, including the monitoring and evaluation, establishing a quality assurance system, and introduce a natural monitoring and evaluation program. Then we have the transfusion and blood utilization. There must be an improved clinical use of blood. And then finally, we have the training, which is a cross-cutting issue to achieve the first 5 technical requirements. So for us to have the network of secure blood, these are the things that are required to be put in place. Now we're going to look at the challenges and the shortcomings. Even in the absence of pandemics, there is an increased pressure on limited resources. Establishing a good standard blood security protocol in Nigeria and the sub-Saharan African region as a whole has proved a very difficult task. Some of the challenges commonly encountered include inadequate infrastructure. The suffocating limitation of resources and infrastructure has led to a hindrance in the establishment of robust blood collection, testing, and storage facilities. This reflects as absent testing kits for screening. Certain centers in Nigeria carry out screening for only HIV, hepatitis B surface, antigen hepatitis C, excluding the VDR because of resources limitation. Absent standard blood banks in a majority of tertiary health institutions and trauma response centers due to inadequate power supply, and a myriad of other infrastructural deficiencies which time may not allow us to explore. The second challenge is insufficient funding. Now, the national budgetary constraints has affected the implementation of comprehensive blood security measures, including the adoption of advanced testing technologies and the training of healthcare staff. Now, the Center for Social Justice, Public Finance Management, and Health Review in 2024 reported that the Nigerian budgetary allocation for the entire health sector in this 2024 is just 36.43%, which is far less than 115% Abuja Declaration commitment. So you can see that we have shortage of funding, and because of that, we cannot do much as far as security of blood is concerned. The third one is donor recruitment retention. Encouraging and retaining voluntary blood donors has proved even more challenging in recent times as a result of worsening economic realities. You can agree with me that right now, for you to ask somebody to come and donate, then you must make sure the person is well fed. So the economic harshness in the country is affecting what we are talking about. So you have a spread of misinformation about the blood donation as a process and cultural disbeliefs. This standing as a very major barrier because of the superstitious notions and beliefs that blood collected for transfusion may be used for ritualistic purposes, consequently jeopardizing the life of the donor. Now we have the logistic challenges. Now transportation and distribution of blood products has proved challenging, especially in remote or conflict-affected areas, leading to delays and potential quality issues. This is reflected in the inability to maintain a cold chain during transport of blood to crisis areas, or a total absence of blood products in certain rural areas. These issues mentioned above highlights a few key challenges experienced in the status quo. But during epidemics and pandemics, the challenges are highly exacerbated. To demonstrate this point, we can interrogate the impact on supply of blood during these crisis situations. Now, during epidemic and pandemic, the supply of blood to blood banks can be affected by various factors. Increased demand, social distancing measures, and potential disruptions to blood donation drives contribute to these challenges. Some specific challenges highlighted include reduced donor turnout. You will agree with me, out of fear of infection or movement restriction, this may lead to a decrease in the number of donors attending the donor centers. Cancellation of blood drives, social distancing measures, and lockdowns can result in cancellation of scheduled blood donation events, reducing the overall collection. We have the temporary deferral of donors. Now, individuals with recent exposure to infectious diseases or symptoms may be temporarily deferred from donating, further limiting the donor pool. Impact on recruitment efforts. Educational and promotional campaigns to encourage blood donation may be hampered due to public health priorities focused on the pandemic. Logistic challenges, transportation issues, staff shortages, or disruptions in the supply chain can affect the timely delivery of donated blood to the blood banks. With a near complete strangulation on the supply of blood during this crisis period, the situation is further worsened when one identifies the concept of disease spread by transfusion of blood products, further worsening the pandemic or epidemic. Now, emerging infectious diseases that can potentially be transmitted through blood transfusion include the Zika virus, which is primarily transmitted by mosquito. There have been cases of Zika virus transmission through blood transfusion. Zika can cause birth defects and neurological issues. We have the West Line virus. This mosquito-borne virus has been reported to be transmitted, leading to concerns about potential impact on blood safety. We have the chikungunya virus, which is transmitted by mosquito, but cases of transmission through blood products have also been documented. We have severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 as the SARS-CoV-2, although respiratory droplets are the primary mode of transmission of COVID-19. There have been concerns about potential transmission through blood products, promoting careful screening and donor eligibility criteria during the pandemic. We have Zika, we have the dengue virus. While mainly transmitted by mosquito, there have been cases of dengue virus transmission through blood transfusion, posing a risk in regions where the dengue is endemic. We have the Chagas disease. This is a parasitic infection primarily found in America. Can be transmitted through blood transfusion. It can lead to chronic heart and digestive system complications. You have the babiosis caused by parasites, and then it is a tick infection that can be transmitted through blood transfusion. It can also cause flu-like symptoms, and severe cases affect multiple organ systems. Then we have the malaria. In most regions where malaria is prevalent, the parasite Plasmodium can be transmitted through blood transfusion, contributing to the spread of the disease. One would think that curbing the spread of these diseases through transfusion would simply involve screening of donors, but due to the emerging and highly infectious nature, where we lack the biosafety level 4, particularly in developing countries, then rapid diagnostic and screening kits that are accessible in developing countries is very difficult, and so as a result, blood security is significantly compromised when blood is obtained from asymptomatic or disease carrier donors. As a whole, all these factors highlighted in this part represent only a small fraction of the challenges posed to maintaining blood security, and so naturally this address will not be complete without suggesting solutions which listeners can attempt implement in their own respective centers. These are the strategies for enhancing blood security, a few of them. Here, there are a lot of strategies that can and have already been implemented, particularly in developed countries, for the purpose of enhancing blood security and safety, especially in the face of public health crisis situations. And some of these are the stringent donor screening. Here there is we need to implement comprehensive donor screening protocols, including travel history and health assessment to identify potential risk, rule out asymptomatic carriers or high-risk individuals, and ensure that only eligible donors contribute to the blood supply. We have the advanced testing technologies. Now, we need to invest in state-of-the-art testing technologies, such as the nucleic acid testing. I know in some hospitals, some hospitals do have it, but majority of the hospitals in this country lack this technology. And so to detect infectious agents with high sensitivity, we can use the nucleic acid test to do that. And this will reduce the risk of transmitted infections. Even during the early stages of an outbreak, nucleic acid testing far surpasses detecting presence of antibodies, because NAT can reveal the presence of pathogenic agents on the same day that the individual is inoculated. The next challenge or strategy are going to look at is the regular training and education. Now, these need to provide ongoing training for healthcare professionals, just like what we are trying to do today, which will involve blood collection, processing, and transfusion to stay updated on the best practices and the latest screening techniques. educate donors on the importance of disclosure and the impact of their health history on blood security. Developing a robust inventory management system to monitor blood supplies, ensure an adequate stock while minimizing waste. This involves real-time tracking and forecasting to respond effectively to sudden increase in demand during pandemics. Now, we need to establish clear and adaptable emergency response plan to address sudden spikes in demand, disruptions in the supply chain, or unexpected challenges during pandemics. These include collaboration with healthcare authorities and other stakeholders. There is a need for public awareness campaign which need to be conducted so that we can encourage regular blood donation and reassure the public about the safety of the blood supply. This is crucial for maintaining the steady donor base, even in the challenging circumstances. We have the international collaboration. There is need for us to foster collaboration between countries and international organizations to share best practices, coordinate response, and ensure a global approach to blood security during pandemics. We need to have an adoption of pathogenic inactivation technologies, very important. If it will be possible for us to explore and implement pathogen inactivation techniques that can neutralize a broad spectrum of pathogen in donated blood, prevailing providing an additional layer of safety. Now we have the continuous surveillance and monitoring. Let us establish robust surveillance system to monitor trends in infectious diseases, allowing for proactive adjustments to screening and testing protocol based on emerging trends. There will be need for collaboration with research institutes. Let us foster partnership with research institutions to stay at the forefront of scientific advancements, enabling the integration of cutting-edge technologies and methodologies into blood safety practices. The quality management system, there will be implementation of rigorous quality management system to ensure adherence to standards and regulatory requirements at every stage of the blood supply chain from collection to distribution. And then we have the digital health solution. There is need for us to leverage on digital health tools for real-time data tracking, communication, and coordination among different components of the blood transfusion system, facilitating efficient response to changing conditions. We have the global data sharing. There is need to promote international collaboration and data sharing to create a global network for monitoring and responding to infectious disease threats that could impact blood safety. Research on emerging pathogens. There is need for us to invest in research to understand the behavior of emerging pathogens and their potential impact on blood safety. This information can guide the development of targeted screening and testing strategies. Ethical and regulatory framework. Let us strengthen the ethical and regulatory frameworks governing blood donation, ensuring that policies align with the evolving landscape of infectious diseases and donor retention programs. We need to establish donor retention programs, offering packs or exclusive events for regular donors, building a loyal donor base, ensure a more consistent and stable blood supply. Emergency donor appeals. We have to activate the emergency donor appeals during critical shortage, leveraging on various communication channels to reach the community swiftly and effectively. Partnership with a healthcare institution. There is need for collaboration with healthcare institutions to promote a culture of blood donation among healthcare professionals and ensure a suitable supply for patient care. Implementing a combination of these strategies can contribute to a robust and sustainable blood supply during pandemics and epidemics, supporting overall public health efforts. Having extensively discussed the ways in which blood security can be ensured, the next part of this address will attempt to identify existing global initiatives which Nigeria or even the sub-Saharan region as a whole can benefit from the terms of partnership and emulation of structural framework for the purpose of enhancing blood security. Here are the strategies and the initiatives to enhance blood security. Now, multiple health organizations worldwide have established various efforts to ensure a suitable blood supply during pandemics and epidemics, and some notable ones include the Global Health Security Agenda. This involves collaboration between multiple countries, focuses on strengthening global health security. Part of these efforts involve enhancing preparedness for infectious disease outbreak, including measures to secure blood supplies. The second one is the World Health Organization. We all know because this is the one that affects us mostly in Africa. The World Health Organization provides guidelines
for 10 years or more, especially when you use high-tech technology like APC 215 cell washing machine. And the use of this equipment has also increased the storage time. The next one is platelet. Freezing with 5 to 10% dimethyl sulfoside at minus 80 degrees centigrade, store at minus 65 degrees centigrade for 2 years, or with liquid nitrogen for 3 years, after thawing suspended in thaw plasma. Then we look at the stem cell. The stem cell is freezed with 10% dimethyl sulfoside with or without hydroxyethyl, without HES, using liquid nitrogen, hydroxyethyl starch. Storage is at minus. The most modern method of preparing stem cell and the platelets is after addition of DMSO and then removing the DMSO supernatant, then you can freeze the stem cell or the platelet. Plasma, no cryops. Plasma from CPD block can be stored at minus 20 degrees centigrade for 1 year, or minus 80 degrees centigrade for more than 10 years. Of course, the cryoprecipitate we know is prepared from fresh frozen plasma after allowing to thaw at 4 degrees centigrade, which is then centrifuged and separated storage temperature. Now, why do we need balance between need and supply to ensure blood security, or to ensure balance between blood collection and for cryopreserved blood product? We are told, or we know, that it can solve various problems in blood. We know that it reduces transfusion reactions and also prevents storage lesions that occur in cells. Lesions include depletion of 2,3-diphosphoglycerate, decrease in ATP, and increase in inflammatory response after transfusion of the blood. It ensures judicious use of blood, especially in emergency situations. We are going to explain why, and therefore, briefcations. 1. In military medicine, battlefield operation, blood distribution and supply are logistic problems in military medical service around the world. The guest speaker have highlighted some of those challenges: transportation problem, liquid stored blood, the low or decreased shelf life of the blood, and the most important, which is very, very important, that is the only way if somebody wants to receive his own blood transfused. That blood must be pre-donated and preserved for a long time, so that when there is need arise, the person can use their blood. That is another advantage. And also, some faith-based organizations don't receive allogenic blood transfusion. They don't believe it. The only way they can take blood transfusion is through autologous blood transfusion. And you cannot store liquid bank blood for a long time, and therefore there is need for cryopreservation. The next application, immunohematology. Therapeutic problem in immunohematology can be solved by stock of red blood. So the rest antigens or antibodies and alloimmunization can cause a lot of problem. If the patient has a rare blood group or rare cell antigen, it can cause serious blood transfusion problem, and therefore there may be no blood that will be compatible to the patient unless you have stock of that red blood cells. And you cannot have that stock unless the blood is cryopreserved. So it's very, very important to have the background of this. Supportive care of leukemic patients during induction and maintenance therapy when alloimmunization is frequently present is also parallel to what I have mentioned before. Most of these patients, they can be multiple transfused, and when they are multiple transfused, if you expose them to red blood cell antigens, or when platelet refractoriness has occurred, you really need to get the compatible platelets or red cells. And only way to make it quicker to save life is through cryopreservation. preservation of blood. The cardiovascular surgeries and radical surgical oncologists, that is evolving medical surgical emergencies. You will agree with me that if any surgeon wants to do open heart surgery in this town, and the arrangement for blood transfusion or platelet transfusion was made before that, it would be very, very difficult to carry out, because these complex surgeries need a lot of red cell transfusions and platelet transfusions. And to have it done, it's always good to have stock of cryo-preserved red cells and also cryo-preserved platelets. So in all these conditions, stock or liquid stored blood cannot bridge the gap between demand and supply. And stock of frozen blood product is needed to ensure blood security. In conclusion, the storage of blood in the frozen state presented one of the alternative ways of storing blood product. The short shelf life of blood product resulted in the transfusion service not being able to meet the demand of quickly evolving surgical discipline, civilian and military emergencies. The storage of frozen blood products therefore presented a great perspective in maintaining balance between the need and supply of blood products. Thank you very much.
Scientists in the past, some good clinicians in the past started it here in Nigeria. So if things are moving and there are things we're supposed to have incorporated into our services, based on knowledge and skill, we should begin to incorporate them. That's the ideal thing. Yes, and the good transportation and all those practices next. Well, the good practices we're talking about: manufacturing practice, transportation practice, and storage practice. We give credibility and traceability to blood products. It is now the uniform, and the physics is hiding behind somewhere. Physics, I started you again. I thought, thank God you are still here. The Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Turkey is my teacher. He taught me in classroom like this, and I got to follow the footsteps of my teachers. Thank you, sir. So we look at traceability. If you do good manufacturing, good distribution, and good storage practice. Blood donated on the 14th of January 2021. We should know where each of the products prepared from that blood was used. Because there could be what is called callback. The way we have what is called callback on products. We can place a callback on our blood products. But if you are not able to trace it, and it is good through good manufacturing, good transportation, good storage practices, you are able to do that. And if we inculcate all these good practices into our practice as blood transfusion scientists and blood safety advocates and practitioners, yes, we will reduce adverse transfusion reaction, enhance patient health and environmental safety. It will help us to have a streamlined guidelines that will guide us in the laboratory and guide also the transfusionists at the clinic. Yes, and profile framework as stated. Yes. Sorry. So to be able to imbibe the good practices as mentioned, these are the backbone, the criteria. We need all this. Starting from who will be in control of our blood establishment. If we put quacks there and we put the best of the equipment, we are not going to get anywhere. Unfortunately, some people are doing that maybe for political reasons, and that is not in the best interest of this country. The first thing is to get the right person
the personnel that will handle each of the sessions, are they trained? Are they licensed? Licensor is the only proof that you are trained. Everybody can come out and say, yes, I'm trained. But licensing authority, they have a way of assessing whether you are being trained and retrained. So when I say, are they trained, the indicator of training is license. If somebody drives on Nigeria road, he drives carefully. The other person drives anyhow. If they jam each other on the road, and they check for license of each of them, who will be sanctioned by the law? So why should we be promoting quackery? And that is the message for government of Federal Republic of Nigeria at all levels. Government has mandate to safeguard health of Nigerians by ensuring that there is no quackery. None of the government agencies or appointees should be promoting quackery. So the first thing is actually we need trained and experienced personnel, followed by adequate infrastructure. If this all is named a teaching hospital, can we do a teaching hospital activity inside this all alone? That is the similitude of transition services. If you have just one room and you want to do standard transition service, you can't. Where is your safe region? Where is your neat region? Where is the donor clinic? Where are you going to do counseling that you ensure the official privacy and lot more? Where are you going to prepare blood products? So there is need for adequate infrastructure, followed by equipment that is optimally functioning, not equipment that are no longer useful SPI. They now come and dump it on you. There are times in the past government we say, yes, buy equipment. If they now want to buy equipment, they will buy wrong one. And that one will not help us. So we need right equipment after getting infrastructure. Then reagents, consumables. All these can only work in a uniform way if we have what is called SOP. If there is SOP, I will do it the right way, adhering to SOP. You will do it the right way, adhering to SOP. Something marveled me. Why those the dancers, when they entertain us, I was asking my president, do they have an SOP? The two of them, they were just dancing very well. And the dancing synchronized. It made me to now know that what a woman can do, a man can do better. So, yes. So we have to use SOP in that. The SOP definitely is an extension of the quality manual. It's an extension of the quality manual. Quality manual will have indicated all policies and processes that will guide how the SOP will be drafted. And all these documents are supposed to be reviewed at intervals. If you are not doing that, we are not doing standard transition service yet. And when we do that, that is when we can be sure of good analytical plan, there will be quality assurance and quality control program, and the products that will be prepared in our blood establishment will be of quality. We meet the minimum integrity. Yes? Yes. Good practice. We know the ISO 15189 as repeated in 2022. These elements, they all apply. Elements of quality management system according to ISO 15189. They all apply to blood banking services. Yes. Well, good manufacturing, storage, and transport services or practices are not just a regulatory necessity. They are the cornerstone of a robust and efficient blood banking system. And that is what Nigeria needs. Yes. Next slide. Next. Inefficiency dilemma. You can imagine this situation, a scenario where a patient in their need of blood transfusion, blood components are available, but logistical hurdles delay their arrival to the bedside. And when they arrive, maybe the patient is no more. Or the product on arrival has deteriorated en route from blood establishment to the bedside of the patient. And that will be a consequence of inconsistent manufacturing practice. For instance, if the aspiration in blood component production or preparation, the efficacy and quality of blood product will be compromised. Look at the difference between what is known as FFP and SDP24. Fresh frozen plasma, donor has donated, donor has been assessed as donated blood to prepare FFP. Many people do not know that it must be prepared under 6 hours after donation. If you exhibit lackadaisical attitude, if it goes beyond 6 hours post-donation before the product is ready, that is no longer a quality FFP. That is now going to be single donor plasma. And that must be ready under 24 hours after donation. If it's not ready under 24 hours, it's going to be a waste. You can imagine possibly people who are not adequately trained, or people who do not just have passion for the job they do. Is it possible for any clinician to identify FFP from SDP24 on citing the product? It takes the sincerity of a blood scientist to give the product the label it deserves. Is it equally possible for an individual, whether a scientist or a doctor or whoever, to identify expired blood on citing it? You know, some people, sharp practices, when they bleed a donor, they will not put the expiry date. That is what we see on the field. Yes, we do a lot of assessment as researchers. But you know, as a researcher, the ethics that you don't report your participants. But we use whatever we have learned on the field to teach ourselves and improve our skill and practices. Blood collected, if it is into a CPDA and provided you can be sure of a refrigeration, power supply, you think it should be viable for 35 days, CPDA 1. Is that not? 35 days. Somebody will now leave the blood. When, even if it is 2 weeks after, a request will come requesting for fresh old blood for a neonate. That is the blood they will now label as if it was collected yesterday. A quack will easily do that because he or she does not even know the implication. A quack will do that easily. More reason why nobody at any level should promote quackery. If a professional does that and he or she is caught, you know what the implication is. He will be dealt with severely by the regulatory agency, by Medical Lab Science Council of Nigeria as we speak. Or, yes, we now have National Blood Service Commission. They will do more specifically on blood safety. So we look at this inconsistency in product preparation, after preparation, storage condition. In proper storage condition, in many settings, when there is temperature fluctuation, and that brings me to the reason why a regular blood bank or blood refrigerator or blood refrigerating unit is different from a domestic fridge. You don't put a domestic fridge in your office where you start blood banking. The feature of a blood bank is different from that of a domestic fridge. Is there any alarm system there? Any temperature charting system? The door is transparent. It's airtight. There is there is a flow of air to ensure that the temperature is uniform within, and so many other features of a blood bank. Yes, so it's important that storage condition is well maintained, and there are so many unreliable transportation methods that people use to transport blood products. When I say blood products, it includes whole blood itself. It is no longer ideal to say blood and blood products. That is not scientific again. Because the one you call whole blood is also a product of activities. It's a product. Whether it's whole blood or packed red cell, they are all products. Or plasma or cryoprecipitate, anything, they are all blood products. Yes. So these are some of the products, and storing them well is very important. ensuring that the volume blood anticoagulant ratio is maintained. You know, we in Nigeria, we use 450 ml capacity blood bag most of the time. Is that not? And inside that blood bag, what volume of anticoagulant, CPDA 1, do we have? You said? 63? How many mils? 63 mils. You cannot imagine somebody wants to bleed into that bag. Are we aware that when you fill that bag to the brim, you are not having 450 ml of blood? Though? Because that 450 ml target is inclusive of, you are supposed to only collect 387 ml of blood. And you can only do that if you use a blood meter. So how do you establish a blood bank, especially at tertiary level, without having a meter, a blood unit weighing scale that will be indicating the volume, such that when it's the right time for you to stop, you stop. So you have blood bag, you fill it to brim, yes, eventually you have what they call blood lesion. You have so many microclots. It's going to add to the morbidity of the patient instead of addressing the situation for which the patient was brought to the hospital. These are the things we need to know. And now, there is what is called pediatric pack. Pediatric pack. The one that is common here is 250 ml capacity. But that is not the end of it all. We are supposed to have, in other climes, we have 100 ml capacity pediatric pack. And now, okay, the smallest we have that is common in our market for now in Nigeria is 250 ml capacity. Meaning that the prerequisite anticoagulant that is of prerequisite ratio is in that bag. We use the weighing scale. Now, somebody wanted to collect blood of 250 ml. Use that 450 ml capacity. The blood anticoagulant ratio is compromised. There is what is called citrate toxicity that patient may suffer on account of excess anticoagulant being transfused along with the blood. So we have a lot of issue from how the blood unit is collected and the anticoagulant there. Yes. Another one in this situation is when you have collected blood into a double bag, for instance, or even triple bag. You have separated plasma from that bag, leaving behind packed recess, concentrated recess, with very little quantity of plasma or anticoagulant. Yes, the blood has been well anticoagulated, no need for additional anticoagulant. But there will be need for additives that can sustain that packed cell, or else you must use that packed cell under 24 hours. As there are some of it. Yes, move on. You can go on, please, because of our time. See the additives you can use. Glucose, saline glucose adenine mannitol, SGAM, is the component of additive that you can be adding to our recess, pack recess, aseptically, so that that recess cannot be used as pack cells. Next. Okay. This is how you determine the volume of what is needed. Next. Storage division. The DG from National Blood Service Commission already discussed this. Next. Because this slide. The temperature, I've discussed this temperature issue. Shelf life of whole blood components. Yes. And that is where we also have the issue of cryopreservation of blood. Cell can be cryoprotected. You mentioned it. Real blood group can be preserved for as long as a year if you operate liquid nitrogen storage. And you use a cryoprotective agent like glycerol that is compatible with life. And before transfusion, this is what we should be talking about, not only talking about. This is where we should be going. We should begin to practice. But instead, it seems we are even, I don't know whether we are making progress in our practice. There are so many factors affecting how we practice. And on the front burner is politics. That is on the front burner. And it is not doing anybody good. It's not doing anybody good. Yes. Next. Platelets too, platelet concentrate, platelet-rich plasma, how we prepare it, preparation and storage. For how long do we store platelets? If you are not using a cryoprotective agent, you can't even replicate platelets if you are not using a cryoprotective agent. It should be stored at room temperature. More reasons, your ambient temperature should be recorded on a temperature chart twice a day. As simple as that practice. When you don't do that, you can't be sure of the ambient temperature of your lab. And that is why our directors, our administrators, our medical directors, our CMD need to know that while rationing power supply because of incessant power failure in this country, when you say switch off all AC, don't switch off that of blood bank, because that AC supplying that blood bank is an equipment there. It's an equipment regulating the ambient temperature. We have stored our platelet concentrate on a rotor, on a mixer. So all these are what we need to know and ensure we put it into practice. When I was fully on the bench in a teaching hospital, I always insisted. And when I give my reason, well, you can come to my office, remove the fan, say, but my lab, you cannot switch off the AC. You can't. There's no way you can do that. How will you do that? We want to compromise the safety of what we do here. And nobody will pray to need any of the blood products. But it happens that hospital workers also need blood products under emergency, including the MD. Nobody is not vulnerable, including our relations. So we want quality products to be available so that if you and I need it at any time, we will enjoy quality service. And that is the thing. Yes. Yes, we have so many type of, in some practice now, we have a code room. I don't know whether they operate code room now. In UCH, when I was in training, we were having a code room. You can imagine having like 5 units of blood bank, 500 capacity each, fill up in the blood bank in good old days in UCH. And you still go to the code room to keep some. That's where I was trained as a male lab scientist. I added to my training here from Rivers State University as a male lab scientist again, and cap it again from Nembias UK University, where I had my PhD as a male lab scientist, all in hematology. And I want to remember with nostalgia when we went for exam, UCH prepared 12 male lab scientists as hematology graduates then. We went for exam in 1997. And our style, you go and do exam where they don't know you. I now we went for exam in Calabar. And our examiner, the chief examiner of the 2 team, you can imagine having just 12 students to examine. And they were now divided into 2 teams again. 6 to face one. For a whole day, you can now imagine finding yourself to be examined before highly knowledgeable, highly skillful person. What do you say? That we impress. So we thank God. That's how we did our exam. Without fear of people, without any ill feeling. And we didn't, of course, 12 people went for exam. The result came out from the institute. 6 people. 50% success is a thing to be celebrated then. So when you begin to compare quality of product, you can know why it started. So if you want to go back to the good old days, we know the culture to reinvent. Your teachers that you know should not be the one to certify and say, yes, go ahead, you can now, because he is definitely most likely examine you based on what he has trained you on. But there is a syllabus. That is the SOP. You have been trained by Mr. A. Let Mr. B. And that is actually the reason behind external examiner stuff in programs. Yes. Well, we have plasma storage. We have transport container. Yes. Because we talk about good stuff, we have mentioned good preparation practice here, or manufacturing practice as the case may be. We have talked about storage practice, transport. Good transport practice. blood units, that is whole blood or pancreases, can only be moved in what we used to call Jablo box, or a box that have a regulated temperature of not more than 10 degrees centigrade. You know the storage is 2 to 6, but moving, yes, maximum of 10 degrees centigrade. And should not be in a situation where you now use ice pack that is having direct contact on your blood bag, lysing the cell before you get to the patient side. And these are the things we do. So we're doing standard thing. We are doing substandard thing. There are boxes that are for sale that are meant to be used to transport blood. You now want to transport blood, you put inside nylon. From this place, 2 hours, you're on the road. Blood inside nylon. Whatever happens in between, yes, now patient, they will now say something is happening to the patient. The product you released from your blood bank or blood establishment is not the one being transfused to the patient. You don't know if he, because we know, if he pretend not to know, put a plate of beans on this table, come back tomorrow, come and eat it. Put a plate of beans today and tomorrow, come and eat it. Will you eat it? Because what you're going to meet is going to be different from what you left there. And that is the similitude of what happened to our product in transit. And we, as professionals, we are the one who have responsibility to recommend standard practice and insist on it. What I've discovered, in all places where I've worked, I'm very mobile a worker, very motile. In all places where I've worked, what I've discovered is that when you are not talking about self, you are not asking for favor. Even when they try to throw favor at you, say, no, it is not the next thing. I have a MD whom I've worked with, he said, yes, we should promote you above others. I said, no need, sir. We should move at the pace, we should move. You should promote me above others. No. You are their senior now, yes, but we joined the same year, only month in gap. Leave it that way. So that when I now write to him and say, sir, we need 14 refrigerator in blood, in a medical lab complex, he will not say no, because no, he will always not ask for personal thing. And I will provide justification. And when we do standard things, sir, Mr. CMD, it is you we are promoting. Because if anything good is happening in a teaching hospital or Federal Medical Center, would they mention the name of the chief medical scientist? Would they mention the name of the chief surgeon? Would they mention the name of the chief pharmacist? They will say under the leadership of Dr. or Professor ABC, they have transformed blood transfusion practice in this place. And that is what we expect. And that's why we talk to our policy makers. National Blood Service Commission is ably represented here. Med lab scientists, we are equipped, we are trained, and we are skillful enough to transform the practice of medical lab science and the blood transfusion safety to enviable height, such that the healthcare indices of Nigeria will move forward. Oh yeah, Rush. This is what? Yes, the alarm system, I've talked about this. Installation and maintenance, time, blood collection chain, infantry management, very key. Very key. Documentation. That's why you'll be able to trace your product. You don't just, you have collected, you give him, let them take it to the hospital. If anything happens, they want to trace that patient now, they never knew his or her HIV status before transfusion. Now, after receiving 7 pints in his or her life, they now tested him for HIV one day, said it's positive. They want to trace how many he has received, from where. How will you know the donor? There's need for documentation. Before you begin, ideally, everywhere now, the way, because everybody here now, we use handset. Is that not? Nobody is using Nokia 2310 again. No? Everyone is connected to the internet everywhere we are. We have undergone that transformation between 2003 and now. So we are supposed to be operating laboratory information management system in all our labs. If there's any teaching hospital, a specialist hospital, and we are not operating lab information management system, no, we should begin. No, it is not bad. It will only be bad if you refuse to change after now. Recommend to your management why they should do the standard thing. Use modern technology to monitor how your products, in fact, it will help you. You will never enter out of stock syndrome. Yes. Inventory management. Yes. Yes. Well, time. What do we do? Power supply, address the transportation. Yes, continue. We can freeze red cells. We have said that one. Red cell can be frozen, preserved for long in a cryoprotective agent, preferably at using freezer or liquid nitrogen. Hemovigilance. I'm able to talk about this today because they already gave me this hemovigilance. You already know what they call pharmacovigilance, feedback mechanism, through which you get to know the gap about the product preparation, transportation, and usage, and so that you can address the gap at national and regional level. That is hemovigilance. Yes, we are going to conclusion and recommendation. Yes, we can. Sorry, it's time factor, but I deliberately changed this slide yesterday on realizing that some of our participants are our students. They need this thing. Even though I've explained, I'm not going to read everything. They will have the material as it will be useful to them. Root cause analysis. We apply this. Yes, this blood caused transfusion reaction. Why? The why. Why that why? Maybe the blood that was brought appeared extremely cold and it was transfused directly like that. Why? Are we doing transfusion for the first time in this hospital? The person that brought it is a new, what do you call him? Porter. He doesn't know the ethics. Okay, he's a nurse officer. Where is the senior nurse on duty? You will probe until you now realize that posting, somebody help somebody. That nurse officer was supposed to be on duty with a junior registrar or things like that. Or there was a mix-up from the blood bank. Why? Two persons bearing the same name. Don't think those things are theoretical things. No time new. In my practice, I've seen all those things I'm talking about. Two patients bearing the same name. Mr. Akara is my witness. Two patients bearing the same name, having the same blood group, and from the same ward, with request for 2 units of blood the same time. If you don't do proper documentation, you won't know which blood to give to who. Because it's the same name. So we do root cause analysis. And a way forward is that to ensure quality results and products are issued in our blood bank, we must adhere appropriately to quality management system. High level of commitment and investment is required from government and investors. We don't run blood bank like a shop. We want to say, I'm a graduate now, I want to start blood banking now. That is not a pop-up shop. You need a lot of money to do right thing. And thank God, if you belong to this kind of organization now, or HAEMATOLOGY, you can be linked up to do what they call equipment placement. Standard practice. The suppliers will place equipment, they must have assessed you. For the next 5 years, you are using equipment, they are getting their money. If you want to start a practice as a young male lab scientist, adhere to the policy of Medical Lab Science Council of Nigeria and start standard practice. Don't say I start anyhow, grow later. Somebody will not grow through that way. When you have started anyhow and you are making 14,000 every day, you think yes, 14,000 every day, that's more than salary of those who collect salary. Let me continue to make 14,000 every day. And that's how you'll be breeding quackery within the state or country. Yes. In conclusion, prioritizing good manufacturing, storage, and transportation practices, we can collectively transform blood banking from a system riddled with inefficiencies to one that is efficient, safe, and delivers optimal patient care. Let us leverage technological advancement in monitoring and communication to further optimize good practices and ensure blood safety. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yes. Round of applause for him again. Thank you, Professor Musa. Muhibi, for your wonderful, enlightening lecture. This was power-packed. Thank you very much. If you were here yesterday for the cocktail, they promised us that it's going to be a developmental conference that will do what? Benefit us through what? Interaction, network, then we crossbreed idea for what? Better future for hematology and blood transfusion society. Are we getting that? Please, let's appreciate all our speakers for today. And we are going to start with the question and answer. Is either we ask all our questions from the three presenters, then they give us their answers. Is it okay? Questions? You can drop all your questions, then anyone that is directed to a particular presenter, they will respond. So the floor is open. Questions?
Good evening, everybody. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol. I want to sincerely appreciate the keynote speaker and other speakers that have done justice to the reason why we are here. One of the questions, my question will be directed to the doctor that talked about cryopreservation. In fact, when he was going through the lecture, I had to cast my mind back to the topic that we are looking at, the theme we are looking at today, which is the global pandemics and blood security. So I observed that, yes, we have to preserve blood. You know, and, the reason for that preservation is really obvious. But on a second thought, I had to ask myself, what does this have to do with the global pandemics we are talking about? Because I think we need to zero in, you know, to the theme too. And I asked myself some questions because I discovered that these preservatives, I use the word preservative, although it is called protectant. But if you permit me, let me use the word preservative. You know? And I began to ask myself, what is the effect of these preservatives on the red blood cells? Because we are talking about, part of what we are talking about is the root cause. If we carry out our root cause analysis, good enough they are preserving. There was a statement in one of your slides there that said some of those preservatives can cause irreversible reactions to the cell. And if that is possible, please, I would like you to expatiate, because we are having pandemics today, tomorrow outbreak. Can these preservatives, can they predispose one to these pandemics? That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The cryoprotectants, okay, sorry. The cryoprotectants or preservatives, as we mentioned that they are toxic, especially in higher concentration, and in order to minimize their toxicity, after freezing, the cells has to be washed And the essence of the washing process is to reduce the concentration of this cryopreservative to the lowest minimum so that it can not cause serious harmful effect in the body. And the most serious effect it can cause is red cell lysis after transfusion. By lowering the concentration, this effect is reduced considerably. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that question, and thank you for the response that you have given. Let me just add small to what you have said. Now, in using the cryopreservatives or the reagents to preserve the red cells, they don't just use it like that. Before now, there would have been a study to establish at what point can that preservative act right. So with that understanding being established, then whatever preservative you are using will be based on scientific proof. So at that point, there's less or little or no harm when stored under that condition. That's one. Then the second point is you asked, what is the relationship between the pandemic and the blood storage? There's a statement he made in 2011, September 2011. That's where we had the massive terrorist attack in US. And those quantity of blood that was donated, majority of them were wasted. But if we had harnessed them, separate them into the various components, and stored them in their appropriate reagents, then they could have stayed for 10 years. Some can stay for 10 years, some can stay for 5 years, some can stay for 10. So you see that the consumption will still be needful. In the pandemic, we can always assess. But because we lack these facilities, especially in the third world countries like Nigeria, we don't even have enough blood, not to even talk about the components to say. So I think that is where we need a collaboration. We need collaboration with most of these international associations, where we can have more trained staff to be able to do these preparations that can last for years, so that when there are issues like this, there will always be something to proffer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Question? So thank you very much for all the brilliant presentations. They were all well taken. My question is in follow-up to the response to the answer to her question. Yes, cryopreservation is very important. That's the key to match demand with supply. But in a situation in our own clime where we don't even have power supply, can we be talking about cold preservation? That's the major challenge. And that brings me to my own question. How do we, with this information we have garnered from this conference, workshop, I'm looking at practicability. If we now leave from here and we've learned that we can preserve blood for, up to 10 years more. So how do we now mitigate this challenge of non-power? I won't even use the word erratic, because you can't practice it without light.
storage at 4 degrees centigrade, we've heard that there should be a temperature chart that should tell us, you know, minute by minute temperature. If there are deviations from the standard, the blood is not considered fit again. How much more when we will now have non-supply for days? Thank you. I don't know whom I'm addressing my question to anyway, but it's an emerging question. How do we? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, actually it's not easy. It's very, very difficult in this climate. Other Western worlds are doing it, but we know that cryopreservation is a multi-billion-dollar project. And here we are suffering from hunger, and the government that is not well responsive to health sector organization. It's very, very difficult. In National Blood Service Commission, for instance, we have developed 10-year strategic plan, which is under review. It's currently under review. And the main issue there is infrastructural development, which the key guest speaker and the other speaker mentioned very well. If we don't have the infrastructure, the electricity, the storage facility, the transportation system is not going to be easy. But let us start with the easiest one we can do and achieve and do it very well. If you follow the SOP as mentioned and produce a very good quality product, for now that is the key. Power supply is very, very erratic here, and there is no way you can cryopreserve without having adequate power, without having adequate storage facility. I know in my we have the freezers, but the problem is light. And also the personnel. We have it in this country. You are here, you can do it. The manpower is there, but the political will is not there to do some of these things. So that is really the greatest challenge. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Prof, for that thought-provoking questions. Now, as far as production of products are concerned, it's something that if we, as hematologists and as scientists, wishes to do or make an impact, I believe we can do that. With the little things we can do, we can make a lot of impact. And I have listed quite a number of things that we can do without even the government's intervention. The things we can, if we live here and said, now, Professor Muibi said something, how do you trace the units that you have collected? The government is not coming to trace it for you. So your documentation is very, very important. Even when blood is giving out, you want to know the outcome. You have to go to the ward and make some inquiries to find out what has happened. Do we do that? We don't do that. Okay? So if we want, we can sit down, think out something that we can use to bring up the society to a point that every hematologist should put that down in their place of practice. That's one. Then the second part that has to do with the power. Power is something that we cannot trust as far as this country is concerned. All the noise they are making, 10 kilowatts, 20 kilowatts, all those are for paper's sake. But there's something I believe in. So maybe when he was saying something, said in those days in UI,
The bank will be filled, and they even go to the extent of putting in the cold room. In this country, the cold room are operational, isn't it? People are still selling ice fish. Are they not? So what can we do? We need to think outside the box. I believe we can do something if we want. All we need to do is think outside the box. If those people can function, and today we still have ice fish in the market, then if we want a blood, where we can store our components, we can build something in that format. That even the international bodies, that's where we need this collaboration. If it is to put up the solar system that will, function for that particular building to be able to reserve these components to the point at which the NBTS, I'm referring now to the NBTS, to make sure that any time tea that is being needed, those things will still be available. So we are still, going. We have not yet started, and I think maybe by the time we finish with this conference and the communique comes up, I think we'll start thinking towards the right direction. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I actually do not want this section to be over, but then time is not something humans like us can control. On this note, please join me as I invite the president of our society to the mic to do one more presentation and decoration.
Thank you. I was actually thinking the direction our keynote speaker was thinking, that, in primary health care centers in the villages, they are all provided with a solar system to power a particular fridge for whatever they are using for. That could be possible. That could be possible in the blood bank. All we need to do is to begin to put our proposals together. I believe something, if we think collectively and see what we can. That is why we are a society. That is why we can influence policies. We begin to think of what to do, and then we carry the policies to government. Thank you so much for that interactive sessions. I just want to do something briefly so that we can have our lunch and close. When we decorated others, the vice president was not around, and she's present now. Please, can you come up, Dr. Mrs. Yetunde Obaze, and receive your... That is our vice president. Your hands again. Appreciate her. So, thank you so much. You can't stand. I want to ask my teacher, my mentor, all of us that have this label on us, can we just come up for a group photo? Let's take something for memory. And sorry for moving you, my chairman, sir. So please, let's come out and then take a group photograph that will go into the internet. Our BOT will stand here. Our chairman will stand here. The VC will stand next to... Please, sir. Just a little this way. Sir. A little this way. A little this way. Okay. I am the president, and I'm also a member of the BOT, so I will stand anywhere I like. Please, let's just stand. Come on, collect your microphone.
Me? I'm part of it. but not this year. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, in few years to come, I'm picturing myself in this line because I've been taught by teachers. One day I'll become a teacher because this hall is filled with teachers of teachers. And don't forget, remind my father to drop his account details so that whatever I get from this MC, I'll be able to transfer something nice. Ladies and gentlemen, while we are waiting for the lunch, is the lunch ready? Ladies and gentlemen, while we are waiting for the lunch to officially set on the table, let's take some few announcements. So our president will give us the announcements we needed to hear.
I just have a few things to announce. Yes. Communique drafting committee for this conference as follows. Dr. Evelyn Eze, Dr. Beauty Echonwere Wiko, Dr. Ben Eledo, MLS Victor Ndi, Tami Edidion, Joy Ibiwari Siaminabo. The 6 of you will synthesize whatever we have done or heard in this place into a communique transmitted to the government and published in paper. Thank you. Of this crest, society crest, that distinguishes you wherever you go. Only very few is on the registration. It's 2,000 naira each. Just get one and label yourself. We also have a t-shirt that is on sale that registration desk is 9,000. The quality is even one that, but it's 9,000 for the sake of this conference. And more importantly, on Friday morning, I want to note of this announcement. We'll bring the experts, meet the experts. In that forum, we want the early career scientists, students to meet with the senior professionals, professors, and tell them your problem. It may be academic, and then they will tell you what you can do. Maybe your project or whatever problem you want to discuss with them. There will be a forum like that in this conference. Then one other feature of this conference is the award, travel award, courtesy of the ISBT, to encourage young scientists. We have few people who applied and merited it, so we are giving them the award. The award is made up of an award plaque and a monetary sum of 50,000 naira and tickets. That will be done. This is the first time we'll be having such, and we increase. We advertised, but just like I said, maybe we did not really understand what travel award is all about. But I know that by next time we mention such, everyone will be interested. If we have sponsors, we are doing this because we are sponsored. So if we have sponsors next time, we'll still do it. Moving from one level to higher level by God's grace. And we will get higher and higher until we reach where God wants us to reach. So thank you. Tomorrow I want us to be here early. According to the time on the program. There will be no opening ceremonies again, so we just go straight to our lectures so that we can finish on time. Those who want to explore the surroundings, you can have time to do that. Then on that, I don't know when it's on the program, we'll check, but we have an excursion. We want to go to Federal University of Tweke for an excursion, where our Vice Chancellor is visiting. We want to go to that place, a sightseeing. Otoke is the hometown of the former president of Nigeria, and that is General Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. We want to have a site by going there. We'll create time. I don't know the exact time that we come, but within this conference, we'll do that excursion, so that you can go home with more stories. Thank you so much. Where are the MCs? Come and collect from me. I think it's like it's ready.
The lunch is ready. Please, let's give honor to the little respect to the high table. The high table will assess the refreshments, the lunch table first, before any other group will follow. You have your ticket with you, please, orderly. Let's do that. But don't forget, for somebody to eat my money, I want my money to be eaten. Somebody should chop my money. So I will ask question, but let's keep it till tomorrow. Can we? The money is huge. It's huge. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give the mic to the chairman of this occasion to take us through the closing remark. Then we take the closing prayer. Prof.
Yeah, Mr. President, guests, ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, This has been a great day. Through the entire day from morning to now. This is almost 4:30. I have been power-packed with various experiences, various lectures, from the keynote lecture to other areas covered, and the contribution from members, questions, answers, etc. So I'd like to thank all of you. The President had made some announcements as to the plan of the remaining days. So we want to add our voice that you also comply with all that. And to thank the Vice Chancellor for supporting this conference, as it were. And I'm sure when you guys get to the university, he's going to do a lot more at Otoke. So I wish you a very pleasant evening as you retire to your various homes and hotels, and then come back here early enough for tomorrow's treat. Thank you very much.
We give glory to God Almighty, who has been with us since the commencement of this program. We pray that God continue to guide us, protect all of us, and guide our steps as we continue with the conference, to the end of the conference. Those who are on their way to this conference, may God grant them safe journey. Those of us who are here already, may God grant us all safety and the knowledge and skill that we gather at this conference. May God Almighty grant us wherewithal to be able to impact positively on the healthcare system in Nigeria and beyond. Subhanaka lam bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Amen.
That was our General Secretary in the person of Professor Muyibi. I and my colleague, we want to appreciate every one of you for being under our voice for over 5 hours. If it were to be church, we would have raised enough offering. Looking at the faces seated here, I would have calculated my offering already. But I thank you, I appreciate you. In case you want us to anchor any of your program, we are not expensive. We don't charge less than 100,000 naira, and we promise to give you the best. Hello. See you all tomorrow. Go relax. 9 a.m. tomorrow, let's be here to kickstart our program. So please kindly go for your lunch.